Hello world. Today we're going to take a look at the pinnacle of Sega. No, not the Sega Genesis. The Sega Pico. The delightful edutainment console that's for children. It's going to be lovely. Now, to start off, the Sega Pico looks like a suitcase. It opens up and displays similarly to a laptop, I guess you could say. The game's going on one side, and the other side is a big touchscreen, a stylus, cross-formation of buttons that's supposed to be like a D-pad and a button. There's a big red button. And it's fine for what it is. The games are not standard cartridges, but storyware. It's sort of a cartridge book hybrid, which is honestly super interesting. Each one has like 4 pages or so, and you just click it in, turn it on, and about 25% of the time the game fires on and functions. I guess we'll take a look at some of these games. First off, we'll take a look at Richard Scarry's Huckle and Lolly's Busiest Day Ever. What a mouthful. God, I wish my last name was Scary. This was actually the pack-in game, and as a result I own like 3 copies of this thing. Now, the way these cartridges work is that when you're on the title screen, you don't press start to progress or whatever like a regular video game. You'd turn the page. Each page has a few random activities on it, and I should preface this by saying that I'm obviously not going to write off any of these games as bad, because obviously all of these games were made with 3-year-olds in mind. It's just an interesting rabbit hole I wanted to talk about because it's Sega. So don't worry, I'm not going to be covering like the Leapster or whatever. The first page has you in town, and every now and then a building catches fire, and your duty is to summon the firefighters, I guess, even though they are literally right there, and even when you warn them, it takes them forever to do it. These fellows need to get more busy. The next page has you in a bakery where you can design a gingerbread cookie, and I think mine looks really cool, so if you could please validate me, I would very much appreciate it. But obviously I'm not going to go into every detail of every page in these random games. It just seems that at the end of most of these storyware cartridges there is a general freestyle paint program, which is a neat addition. If I had this as a little kid, I'd probably spend hours on this thing. Next up, I guess we'll go to Sesame Street, and as you could probably guess, most of these games are just popular kids licenses from the time, such as Sesame Street, Lion King, Pocahontas, etc. I obviously am not going to look at every Pico game, although North America only did see like 20 games in its library, but how can I not look at this when the Sesame Street theme song is right there? Yeah, it's just more mini games. Obviously on the Sega Pico you aren't going to get an intricate long form game that you can beat. I'd probably guess every Pico game is generally a mini game compilation, and I mean that's okay considering the demographic that it's aiming for. This one has stuff like trace Big Bird's drawing and match words item. Shout out to Ernie and that ham. Then of course you got Oscar vibing at the dump collecting items. I mean that's fair enough. I know how it be. Now let's look at the Great Counting Caper with the 3 blind mice. Unfortunately, this game would just not fire on no matter how much I cleaned it. All I got was a black screen, but maybe the game is just from the point of view of one of the mice and it works perfectly? I don't know. Next game, the Muppets on the Go. I mean, I love the Muppets, so of course I had to check this one out. Apparently, if you hit the stylus against the system too hard, the game crashes. I mean, that's fun. Otherwise, it's more mini games. Help Rizzo build a wall. Help Gonzo thirst after Camilla and steal her eggs. Dear Lord, I hope those aren't Gonzo's children. And my favorite aspect, play Frogger as Kermit. And I would be very upset if that wasn't included on the package.
Yeah, who needs TV when you got the Sega Pico?
You know, licensed games are truly interesting, but let's take a look at the real bread and butter, the Sega properties. The Sega Pico, in addition to tons of licensed games of children's properties, received 3 games in North America based on Sega franchises, an Ecco the Dolphin game and 2 Sonic the Hedgehog games, and we're gonna dig in. First off, we'll take a look at Ecco Jr. and the Great Ocean Treasure Hunt. Now this isn't the first appearance of Ecco Jr., that honor goes to the Sega Genesis game of the same name. Ecco Jr. actually has very minimal treasure hunting in the Great Ocean, but rather it seems to be, for the most part math themed. You got various mini games such as a shape-based one where you build a bridge for a lobster, and for some reason you can pull the pieces out from under him and the lobster just dies. You can learn basic math with crabs, balance a seesaw by using simple mathematics, because that sounds so fun, and a music game that generates basic kid songs. It lets me change the notes, but I have no idea how to play my masterpieces. I want to make some noise with the Sega Pico, damn it. Oh yeah, just hit the system hard enough and it'll do that. It's pretty basic, but I don't know what I really expected from a children's version of Ecco the Dolphin. It's aesthetically neat, I guess, and I'd probably have fun with it if I was, like, younger. Next, though, is the first of 2 Sonic the Hedgehog games, Tails and the Music Maker. The cover art looks like a fan-made depiction of Tails. I don't know what it is, it just seems kind of off. And to everyone's surprise, this game is a music-based title, and it starts you off in a platformer of Green Hill Zone to various tempos of music. Definitely not my favorite 2D Sonic game, but I get the novelty behind it. Tiptoe to avoid falling coconuts, run to go faster, and jump when applicable, you know. It's not like the game really punishes you for screwing up. I mean, that's something I did a lot in this game, and I was fine. It is a kid's game after all. After you beat the level, you play Green Hill Zone again, but it's autumn. And then you play it in winter, and it just goes back around, rinse and repeat. After that, you get this rendition of musical chairs, but it's with frogs on lily pads. Yeah, I won this. I guess you could say I'm sort of a professional gamer now. Then you got percussion pinball, and at least it isn't patriotic pinball. This is fine. I mean, it's just a watered down pinball game. It's fine for a kid's first taste of this genre, I suppose. The next page just has you in this field with these cats on a hill that make notes and this piece of poop or something. I'm not sure what it does or what it is. There's also a building here, and if you click on the door, Robotnik just like peeks out, but nothing else really happens. I'm not sure why this is a thing, but okay. Then you got this music maker, as the title implies, and I couldn't really get it to work properly. Every time I tried to click on an instrument on the page, the console would freeze. And there's not really much more to this game. The paint program plays different sound fonts based on what color you use, furthering my Sega Pico noise career. Stay tuned for my Puri Pico single coming soon to you on Bandcamp or wherever people host music these days. The final game, and the one I was most curious about, is Sonic the Hedgehog's Game World. It lets you play as either Sonic, Amy, or Tails. I mean, I've had enough of playing as Tails today, so I guess I'll go the route of Amy. It's just a mini-game collection, but there's not really a central theme to this one like the Ecco or Tails games, just games. The first one is a simple racing game, but it's pretty horrible. You literally just mash the big red button over and over to move, and even at full speed, I lost the race. I mean, maybe I did something wrong.
I won!
Don't give me that attitude, Eggman. Next game you get is Skee-Ball, where you just wait for the meter to load up just right, and then you press the button and hope that it gets into one of the holes. Sometimes it does, and you have to score better in order to win the race that's up on the top. It sort of reminds me of like an old Flash game or something.
I won!
Screw you, Eggman. Then you got basketball, where you can point in 3 directions and you have minimal basketballs to try to sink into these anthropomorphic hoop characters. The game itself isn't great, but man, why isn't this hoop guy pushed? He's way better than any of these other Sonic characters we see. Why is there a Sonya and Silver bootleg that I looked at, but not one based around this guy? That's blasphemy if you ask me. In addition to tons of minigames, these characters will talk to you if you click on them, but it's usually just useless banter, such as the Toy Drop game is fun, and I love beating Dr. Robotnik. Hold up, what? But then there's lots of mini games that just barely deserve to be talked about, like Match the Flag and this crane game that's oddly difficult to get right. It's like the real life ones, I guess. Then there's all the basics, the card matching game, find the egg that the character is hiding in after Robotnik shuffles them around, whack-a-mole. But that's not all you get. You get a boss fight. Yeah, a boss fight in a Sega Pico game. This is the final showdown between Sonic and in Robotnik, and it's pretty miserable. It's literally like a roulette game of chance. Either it lands on a picture of Sonic and you get to take a piece of HP out of Robotnik, it lands on a picture of him and he gets to take a piece of HP out of you, or you land on a picture of a ring where you get a new piece of HP for yourself. There's also a question mark at the end of it, but both times I successfully landed on it. It just let Robotnik get a hit on me, so boo. I'm not sure if this is just bad RNG or if I'm just really bad at timing, but it very, very rarely landed on the Sonic tiles. If it weren't for the ring recovery, I don't know if I would have beaten this, but I did beat it, and the final game on this package is just a top-down perspective where you avoid hazards and you rip apart the game where we're looking for Chaos Emeralds. If you get more than Robotnik, then you win, and oddly enough, that's how you technically beat the game, and here I am telling you that you can't beat any Sega Pico games. I guess I just lied to you. I'm a bad person. I'm sorry. Finally, it then tells you that the battle is over, and then it gives you the character roll call with your heroes, Flicky, Ricky, and Cucky. Oh my goodness, his name is Cucky. What a name to have in 2021. So the Sega Pico is such a fascinating adventure. I mean, I couldn't recommend it to you unless you're, I guess, 3 years old, or you're like me and you like weird stuff. But it is a fascinating and interesting piece of Sega history. Wait, what is this? This can't be real.